Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining me here in my shop. It's May 29th, a beautiful sunny day. Very cool, so we're going to have hot sun and cool air. It's fantastic. And here I am in my windowless shop looking at another radio. So let me welcome you if this is the first video of mine that you're watching. Just a couple warnings about what I'm doing here. You're basically watching a guy try to fix radios. You're not really being taught anything by me, although you might learn stuff from me, but you might just as well learn wrong things from me as right things. So this really is about the fun and challenge of fixing radios. This particular one in front of me has come to me from a store that I have a relationship with. The store is in Toronto. It's kind of a second time around store or a curio store. And they travel around from time to time. They pick up radios like this in their travels to sell in their store. They check them out, and if they think it's worthwhile, they pass it through me, and I spend a little bit of time checking it out, making it work if I can, and then they sell them off. There's not a lot of money involved here in any way, shape, or form. So that's the situation. Not a very serious radio to work on in this case. Whereas other radios are people's heirlooms. I'm very anxious when I work on those. And some radios are valuable collector's items, which I occasionally have here, something of real value. This one I don't think has any particular value to it. But if we just look it over, the people who are picking these, I guess they're pickers, right? They're getting pretty good at it. They're getting able to spot radios that have all their knobs. The dial face looks good. Okay, there's a bit of damage here, but this is an easy thing to kind of cover up. In the back, it would look like it has all of its tubes. There's a cord here. So from a visual point of view, they've picked a good radio. Has a bit of an interesting look. It's a two-bander. It does the broadcast band, of course, and it does a shortwave all the way from 6 megahertz all the way up to 17 megahertz, which is fairly broad. Does not have, well, there's no back. The back is long gone. So, but I don't think there was ever any kind of loop antenna on the back of this radio. Like that, you see the cable heading for the speaker has multiple wires in it. So this is going to be a field coil type speaker in here. And there's the transformer, and it's pretty small, so I think this is made only for 60 cycle use. It has a phono input, which means you can Bluetooth to this thing fairly easily. It has a metal plate it's sitting on the bottom. It's a Viking. What's it say on the front? So there's no name or anything on the front, not even the manufacturer's name. It looks a little like it's been refinished. Wow, that's just dust that's on there. I think this will clean up pretty good. The knobs are held on with locking screws going in. They're not just pressed on. And the cabinet is actually in really good shape. And I'm going to take this tape off. Let me show you what it says first. Power's on, no sound, sticky tuner for Jim. That's the store's assessment there. And I've been training them a little bit on how to identify, how to try a radio out and see if it works. Because a lot of these actually do work right from the start. I really don't like the tape on the cabinet. I must chastise them next time they're here. Okay, power's on. Does not work. Well, I think in a situation like this, I'm not just going to plug this in and give it a go. I'm going to take it out of the cabinet. We're going to examine it, and yeah, there's the screw, and make some decisions from there. What I like to do very much is get a radio operating to any degree as quickly as possible. Wow, a little tiny screwdriver. Okay, I'll have to work on those knobs and get them off. In the meantime, I'm pretty sure my first cup of coffee is ready for today. Okay, time to take the radio out. The knobs off the front, screws out the bottom. Let's grab it by the power supply. The metal plate is coming out. Uh-oh, speaker not coming. Speaker not coming. Okay, there's a plug here. Okay, let's continue here. Out it comes. That was an easy one. Okay, let's look at the cabinet here. This is very heavy. Wow, this cabinet, half the weight is this cabinet. Holy smokes, this is a heavy, heavy guy here. So sometimes there's stuff written inside. There's nothing written in this one. It's a little extra clean. The glass can be removed if I should wish to. I would tend to not do that. And the speaker's an unusual, kind of a, the oval shape is a little unusual. Gee, it looks modern. But it certainly is the appropriate speaker. It's the original speaker, I'm sure. I'll set this aside. Here. Okay, so again, top very clean, all dust has all been removed. Whoops, over this way, look over this way. Okay, dust is all removed. Obviously this was in rough shape at one time because of all the rust in here. This cord may or may not be original. It has 2 panel lights. That's great. 2 panel lights. Oh, look at this. It has down here start of pointer travel. Then it has numbers here. I think this is the broadcast band. And it also has some other numbers. This must be the shortwave band. 6, 10, and 16. So these are points for doing the alignment. Now, one of the comments on the piece of tape that I took off the cabinet was that the tuning was very, very sticky. It sure is. And I'm willing to bet the stickiness is actually where this rod goes into the chassis down here. Down here. But just a little dab of oil on there will do the trick. Okay, but the string is here, plenty tight. It's all moving. Very good. From the top, you can see some alignment holes here with trimmer capacitors down there. And so see, these 2 sections are exactly the same. They're identical. So that means there'll probably be a pattern trimmer involved somewhere on the local oscillator. It has 5 tubes, but this is not a 5-tube radio as such. That's a special name or category. There's cords coming out the side here, and I'd love to tip the radio up. So this is down, and you can see what's going on with the bottom. But I can probably turn this guy right over, upside down, but I don't think it'll be stable because there's only this. Lid on its back. Have to put some wood here. It's got some screws sticking out down here too. So how am I going to turn this guy over? That's the first challenge. But lay it on its back. I'd be stabilized by this can. Maybe this is why this one's a little loose already. The wheel sticks out. Ah. Gotta come up with a better way to turn this guy upside down here. So this is just one of those things you put in your cupboard so you can put your more teacups in it. And it happens to fit on the chassis fairly good. I can flip this whole thing over with this. I don't think so. I think I'm going to have to stand this here. Trying not to catch the string at any point. A little wobbly, but that's going to do the trick. You see the bottom plate, look, it's been sanded off. It's like somebody's put sandpaper onto this, it looks like. Feels like it too. Smooth. Smooth like baby's feet. Okay, we're going to take these screws out. Canadian screws. Hey, where's my Roberts screwdriver? I've only got 7 of them. How come I don't have one in here? Whoops. My screwdriver has gone for a walk with its buddies. I gotta go find the red-handled Roberts screwdriver. Okay, let's take a look inside here. Whoops, that's not gonna do it. There it is. Good old Canadian square screwdriver. I mean that very sincerely. In Canada, square-headed screws are ubiquitous. Square. And I grew up thinking, well, that's just the screwdrivers of the world, isn't it? No, no. These square-headed screwdrivers are, I don't know where else they are in the world. There are probably a few other countries that have adopted them. They were developed here in Canada early on. Not far from here, actually, I think. And the square-head screwdriver, I'll show you the beauty of it here in a sec. Take this one out. There, that's the beauty of it. Okay, you've seen the beauty. Let's see the beast. Oh, I'm not the first one here. That's what we've got there, some paper. I guess that's to provide some level of insulation, electrical insulation between what's in here and the metal plate. I would guess. That's why they put a flammable material. Flammable or inflammable? Which word is it? Non-flammable, inflammable? So let's take a look in here. So I see right away these orange drop capacitors here. This one looks new too. But then I see also old ones that look old to me. These are these molded ones here, which aren't terribly reliable either. There's one here that may or may not be a replacement. Well, okay, so a lot of bare wires over in this area that if you weren't careful, you could push them into contact. Well, this is certainly a radio to try playing. What did that note say that I threw away? Did it say it hummed? I can't remember. No, there's nothing in here that looks to me like, wow, we better not turn this radio on. I think we better turn it on. And notice this wire coming across here is flattened against the post here. And that would be from the plate and the weight of the radio pushing on it. But this is a shielded wire. I think the shielding's ending right up in here. The thing about this is you could compress a wire, the insulation over the years will crack away, and then you have a bare piece of wire ready to contact this. But I don't think that's what's happening here at all. There's the phono input here. You can see the part of it is soldered onto the chassis, and then the signal wire part is coming in a shielded cable. Soldered to the chassis regularly all the way along here. Of course, that's a very sensitive part, right? Very low level signal enters here from the phonograph, and so it's very sensitive, so any hum or noise easily picked up by this piece of wire here, which they very carefully have tried to shield. Well, we got to turn this guy on. Nice and clean in here. High wattage resistors, but they look fine. Yeah, we should turn this guy on. Now, one of the challenges is I got to turn it over again. That's not the challenge. What's this doing here? What is this guy? Well, this is probably the output transformer. That's what these bolts were that were sticking out. Okay, let me pick this up, and here we go. It's not heavy, it's just bad things can happen when you're picking one of these guys up. Okay, let me set this over here. Probably going to need it again. Now, what are we going to do about this? We have a field coil style speaker. You pretty much have to plug that speaker in. I'm going to bring the cabinet back in. We'll get this set up and ready to go for a proper test. And what did it say again? Did it say it was humming? I don't. So you may be a regular viewer of my videos. You know what I'm up to in terms of plugging this in for the first time and relying on dim bulbs. But perhaps this is the first video of mine you've watched, and you're kind of curious how you're going to power this thing up safely. So here's how I do it. I rely on a very, very simple approach. It's commonly called a dim bulb system, although system is a generous word for this. There's the two light bulbs, or one light bulb. It doesn't matter if one or two. I have two. And the idea is you're going to power this stuff up, but you're going to send the power through the light bulbs on the way here. So the light bulb will be in series with the load here on my bench. My bench power is this guy here. You notice it's a 3-prong plug, but it's really not. There's the third prong just sticking out here in space. This leads to two isolation transformers, one feeding the other. And this guy, and behind him is another one, believe it or not. For some cockamamie reason, I can't even explain why I have two of them, but I do. So the idea of that is there's no relationship between any of the voltages that are developed in the radio and Earth, which I am standing on. Well, I'm actually standing on a rug on top of ceramic tiles on top of a concrete floor. So I'm plenty isolated from ground to begin with, but not in terms of all this equipment. All this equipment here is all grounded. All the stuff you see, everything is grounded to the third prong, if you like, or the green ground wire in my house. So I could potentially be grounded. Even if I was, and I were to touch something live here, I shouldn't get a shock. Now, I'm not going to explain it any further than that. I'm just letting you know that I'm not willy-nilly in here. There is a little bit of thought behind what I'm doing, and if you're going to do this kind of stuff, you need to take the steps you need to take to be safe. And the primary thing is to know your stuff, to know your equipment. Get out the voltmeter and convince yourself of everything you think is true, and keep yourself safe. Okay, that's it. Really not explaining very much. So I'm going to plug this into here. Nothing's going to happen. The voltage here will be reduced by the voltage drop on the lights. I'm going to start with just one bulb, very highly restricted. I have a little control panel here with this tuning fork. So I have an on-off switch here, and then this is a selector switch which will send the power through the light bulbs or send the power straight to here. I can bypass the light bulbs, the dim bulbs. Of course, I don't want to do that. So here's how we do this. First, practice. Okay, that's the off. Set is off. This is probably volume. This is probably tone. And it could be the other way around. This is, oh yeah, we're going to look into this. This is a big problem here. This is a horror story. A horror story of brokenness. I think, you know, I forgot to look at this. We better look at this. We better have a look at this. What is going on under there? Because I think it's a bad, bad, bad thing. Yeah, the switch is just going round and around. That's not normal. So what has probably happened here is somebody has forced the switch past its natural stop point and broken something that keeps it from going around and around. Does this mean this won't work? It may still work just fine. It may just be a little tricky getting it into a proper position. Could it get into a position where it fries the radio? Because it's going into weird positions here. Well, I don't know, and that's why I've got the dim bulbs here. So no frying happens at the radio. That's the idea. So switch is off. We should expect nothing to happen. This black wire is an antenna wire, by the way. We're just going to set it aside. We'll plug this back in. Okay, again, switch is off. Here we go. Okay, so no action anywhere, which is perfectly good. This guy will now tell us there's 108 volts ready to go. A little low, eh? How about we make it 115? That's better. Now, of course, with the dim bulbs in the circuit, the voltage over here is going to be way lower, like 50 volts to start. Very low. There we go. So we're watching to see how bright this light gets and whether it dulls down. It should dull down. Like, it'll be bright at first because the heaters here are cold. Current is going in rapidly. Heaters heat up a bit. Current goes down a bit because the resistance changed. Bulb shows it. There we go. Okay, plenty bright. Now it's hard in the camera for you to see what I'm seeing. I can see the filament itself in there. These have come on. 40 volts. Okay, so nothing terrible is happening. You can tell this is getting dimmer. You're starting to be able to see the glass better. But we're still very low, 50 volts. That's a very low voltage. Most of these radios won't operate at 50 volts. They just won't do it. Plus it takes a long time for the heaters to heat up. So at this point, there's nothing terrible happening. Put the volume up a little bit. I'm going to screw in the other light bulb, and that's going to raise the voltage here up to probably close to 100. $85 volts now. You can see these guys brightened right up. And we should start hearing something. I hear a very slight hum. 86 volts. It's a little low for a radio like this, but more volume. More volume here, maybe? Yeah, this one must be the volume. There we are. I hear a radio. This must be tone. Yeah. Shouldn't be too surprising that this radio works when you see someone's done work underneath and it looks like they've been done sensible things. There's a really good chance the radio is going to operate. And of course, as I was mentioning, but not so clearly, the fact that the chassis is dust-free and all cleaned up, that tells you there's a good chance, without even looking underneath, somebody's worked on this radio. Who's going to take the time to remove all the dust like that and not change a few capacitors? Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to want to slide this way. And look at the antenna connection, touch it and see what happens. So I'm hoping the radio would respond. Now Now remember, this band switch here is wonky, so we don't really know what's happening. Tuning, let's turn it up. That is up. Okay, so it's not really working. It's almost certainly this band switch, which is this is a really serious problem here. So what we're going to do with the dim bulbs in, if I should generate a short by turning this, the dim bulbs are going to protect the radio and everything, and we're going to find out right away because the thing's going to jump. These switches, sometimes they're switching B plus around, so there could be some excitement here. Volume, we're going to turn it down because again, could have some excitement. Wow, I got to go almost all the way just to get the hiss. Okay, we're not going to stay up there. Deep breath here. I'm hanging on to the knob, but I'm like a bird on a wire. Just one thing. Hey, Jim, are you nervous? You know, another way to do this would be to examine carefully the position of the switch and set it somewhere where you think it's good and then turn the unit on. Another way is just turn this thing and see what happens. Scary, man. Like I say, we've got the bulbs in, so I think we're okay. This could get loud though. Hey, that sounds like a radio. Sounds like the interference that's normally heard in my shop. Yeah. Something happening. Oh, okay, volume down. I have an antenna, outdoor antenna, which puts a pretty strong signal onto this lead wire. Going to like to clip this onto ground here. This one on the antenna. I think the radios are working. Okay, judging from the position of the capacitor, we're in the zone of possible stations on AM on the broadcast.
I think the big part, though, I think for me, Blake, is not just this series against Chicago, but you have to loop it into last week's series against the White Sox.
So this sports channel is 590.
In this stretch, and this is supposed to be the
on the dial here, you can't see it, but it's 620.
That record and get closer to 500.
I have to admit that pounding noise going up and down as I tune across is a little unusual. Not what most radios sound like in here, but it is receiving. Okay, so the situation is, this is where I wanted to get to today. I wanted to see if I could make the radio operate, and certainly I can. I'm not going to try turning on the shortwave band because I don't know what's going on with this control. I think we're going to cut it off here. That'll be it for today. Tomorrow I'll probably look very close. I will look closely at this switch and see if there isn't something about it that can be corrected, or somehow we can accommodate the fact that it's got no stop anymore. Didn't seem to cause the radio to blow up, but then did I turn it all the way around? Did I try every possible position for that? I don't think so. I just found one that worked and stopped. One of the things I don't want to do is make a situation worse. Make a radio that's having trouble, get it into a worse state. So that's it for today. Anyway, the good news is it does operate. That means the coils are good, the coils underneath are good, these tubes are all working, and there's nothing seriously wrong with this radio. And that's, no surprise. Somebody else worked on it. And excellent for today. It's a beautiful day outside, and I'm heading out there because I have an endless supply of gardening work, according to my wife. But wait, I got one more story for you. Don't hang up the phone just yet. I got one more quick story for you. This morning, about 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm just kind of semi-awake in bed trying to stay asleep, and my cat, Shadow, jumped up on the bed, which happens quite regularly, and then I hear some squeaking. Squeak, 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 squeak. That's a mouse. I kind of sat up and looked with my blurry, unfocused eyes, and there's a mouse on our bed in front of our cat. The cat has brought a mouse. It is found in our house, which is unusual. Brought it up and decided to play with it on top of our bed. So now I'm awake, my wife is still asleep, and there's a mouse on top of our bed, and goodness knows, is it going to head under the covers? Do you want a mouse under the covers with you? And my cat obviously is interested in playing with it because she's just watching it, and it scurried away into the folds, and I couldn't see anything. It was dark. It jumped out of bed, ran around. I didn't know what to do. What do? You get a cat. Get a cat. Well, I got a cat. The cat's on the bed already. Nothing's happening. The mouse is gone. The cat is wondering where it is. I'm wondering where it is. My wife is sound asleep the whole time. And you know what I did? I just crawled back into bed and thought, well, if something more happens, something more happens. Nothing more happened. So I woke up in the morning. Actually, I was quite surprised. I fell back asleep and woke up in the morning to get up. And no sign of the mouse. Cat looks totally uninterested. That's the story. Cat brought a mouse and dropped it on the bed. If you own a cat, you can imagine what that experience is like. So anyway, thanks a lot for listening to my short story, and you have a great day. I'm on my way outside. See ya.